right. Welcome to today's show. Today, we are going to dive deep into something called the list. And I have got a crazy story to share with you on how to screw this up completely and cost yourself millions of dollars. So fortunately, I screwed it up so you don't have to.
I was gonna say it's not you won't be the first person to screw that up, Trevor. And when we talk about the list, all I can say is I was probably very fortunate that one of my early mentors was Dan Kennedy,
Yes.
and he was all about the list over and over and over. So I had a list, even though I didn't know anything to do with the list. Is
Right.
yeah, yeah,
You're like literally have a list on a piece of paper. You're like, I'm
yeah,
writing down my list of,
yeah. I've got a list, but I don't know what the hell it is, right? What to do
yeah.
with it.
Yeah. Well,
So and
it's crazy because it's so basic, but it gets missed by almost everybody. And
yes,
most new business owners, when you step out and you start your own thing, you don't see the importance of it. And I think social media has made it worse
yeah, I
be-
definitely.
because now we think we have a list because I've got 1,000 followers, I got 10,000 followers, I've got people that I can DM or whatever, right? Not realizing that I've also got another horror story we can talk about today where somebody who had high influence on social media and didn't have a single person on a list, and for whatever reason their account got flagged or considered threatening or whatever it is that Facebook does, but shut it down completely, like deleted it, completely
So
gone.
So this episode is how to build and grow your law firm starting from scratch, and this is I think our fifth episode. Is that right, Trevor? In this
Yep.
series,
Yep. We are
and
number 5.
so and today is the list, right? And we talk about this because to me, the list is the basic first piece of marketing you really can do, and it's going to be smaller, but it's also costs no money to have a list, and you start working on it, and the point is you own that list. It's yours, right? If you had to
Mm-hmm.
start over from scratch, you still have your list. If for something happened like you were talking about social media, right? I mean, my law firm Facebook page has been I don't want to say it's been hacked because they never got my actual page, I don't believe. If they do, my team got it before I knew it, but they have copied my law firm page and then started posting their own stuff that I had nothing to do with, and we had to get Facebook to shut that down. But the point, and I imagine your horror story. I'll let you tell the horror story, even though I know where it's going to go.
Oh yeah. Well,
And
it's everyone's horror story is kind of the same, and I think
yeah,
what I'm hoping is that today's show catches somebody before they make the horror story. I don't want you to have the horror story, right? And this is the series. If you missed any of the other series, go back to the last 5 episodes. You're going to get the basics of how to set up your firm from the beginning. And for those of you already rolling and your firm's already going, this is giving you opportunity to look at some of the things you might have, or the steps you might have missed, you might have passed up, right? But once we get to the point of the list, we already know we know our branding, we know what market and what area of law we're going after. We've kind of figured out our niche. We know all these things. The list becomes the most critical part. And here's where I screwed this up. So this was years and years and years ago. And here I am. I'm partnered with my brother, and him and I put on this big event. And we had been doing a couple smaller events, but this was like a big one. We'd rented a big like ballroom type thing at the college, right? Which for us, I don't even remember how much it was, but all I remember is it wasn't cheap, right? We were just like, oh my gosh, we got to spend this much money. This is crazy. And everybody shows up, and we didn't even realize how good we were at certain things. We just thought this was just normal, which I think is what it's what happens when you start out as an entrepreneur and a business owner, right? You don't get it. But we start out, a lot of people show up, right? Which we didn't realize is actually a hard thing to get to do. That seemed easy for us because we were like, hey, we got all these people. So we get all these people to show up to this event. And at the time we were a mortgage broker, right? So we were in the banking world, and we was a mortgage broker. And what we were trying to get loans, right? We were trying to get people's homes, so we wanted to sell their home, whatever. And so we had these little cards that we smartly started to create our list, and we handed them out as everybody came in, and they had to put their name, number, contact information on it, and then a little bit of information about their home. And we were looking for one specific thing. We were looking, do they have equity in the home that they would be able to refinance their home, right? And are they in the market to refinance their home now? And that was all we were looking for. And it's what we wanted. So we have the event. The event goes great. Tons of people. Everybody has a good time. We have this stack of just these lists. They're huge. My brother and I are sitting over by the garbage can. This should tell you how horrible this story is about to go, with the fact that we were standing over by the garbage can. And we had two piles. One pile was on the counter. The other pile was in the garbage can. And here's how we were determining which was which. If they were not eligible for a loan right now, we threw that person's name, number, email, contact, everything right into the garbage can. And if we thought they were available right now, well, we kept that on the counter. We threw away probably 80% of the papers that we had, and we had hundreds. Well, we probably had 500 people at that event, maybe somewhere around there, right? So we threw away a good 300 to 350 people, a list that we created. Now, granted, we'd spent the money on the event. We'd spent the money on the food. We'd had all this huge expense to bring all these people here and all the investment into it. And we didn't understand at all a list. We were looking for leads. We didn't realize that a list translates into leads. And it wasn't until years later that when we fully got this, that we were just like, we literally threw away millions of dollars in revenue to us and our brokerage at the time. And it's crazy. I want to punch myself in the face looking at this. But here's a question, Shane. So what would we have done? Like, what would an attorney do in that same scenario when you have all these lists of people who currently are not, like, why is that even valuable, that those people that I threw away, like, what's the value there? Because I couldn't make any money off of them right then. So what's the value?
It's a long-term play, right? But it's people who've come to one of your events, or they've had interaction with you and your firm, generally in a positive manner. And so I would call them a warm lead, right? They're a warm lead. They know who you are. There's somebody you can stay in touch with. Like we get the name and number and address. We get all the info for everybody who contacts my firm, from even if we don't sign that case, right? If we turn down the case, if we refer it out to another lawyer, if we just tell them we can't help it, we take all of that so we can stay in touch with them, because these are people who know us, right? And in the car accident space, or even in the legal space, they're going to have another issue. No matter what your niche is, they're going to have another issue. And like your folks, they didn't have any equity today, but how long would it take to get some equity? 5 years? 4 years? 3? I mean, maybe rates drop and they go into that zone. And so, we've got our list and we've got our client list. And then I've actually got I call it a doctor's list, but it's doctors, chiropractor, attorneys, business professionals on a separate list. Because I may change some of my correspondence depending on what I'm sending to them, right? So that's more advanced list management later on. But right now, everybody can go on one thing, right? And whatever your CRM is, whatever your legal software is, it should be able to keep track and print all those lists out for you or keep them. I mean, we've got some in HubSpot, so all of them are in one area. Everyone who has any contact with my firm. And we contact them regularly. And we've got more of a hot list and a cold list, right? Our cold list, we contact a little less frequently. The hot list, we contact more frequently, right? These are the people who really like us. But you could have put all of them on there and then stayed in touch with them for, pennies? Yeah. Email is free right now. Text messages are pretty darn cheap. And how hard would it have been to every month send them something like, hey, just your friendly mortgage brokers out here. If you've got a need, call us. Right? And you wouldn't have to pay for another event. That's what I use the list for, right? For contact. They're warm leads. You stay in touch with them. My doctor's list is, you'd be surprised when I was first starting out and I had no cases. I had a doctor list. I stayed in touch with everybody. I'd put little things like, hey, if your other lawyer drops a case, maybe I can take it. Right? That's how I fed myself probably the first 2 years, was taking cases that nobody else wanted, right? Somebody signed it up. There was a little bit of problem. They dropped it. I didn't make a ton of money, but I made, I got some money. I looked at it like, oh, I settled this case. That's made enough to pay my light bill. Settled this case. That paid my receptionist for 2 weeks. I settled this case. Oh, did this for 2 weeks. So none of it was big money, but I'm taking everybody's stuff and turning it into gold. Clients love me. They go on the list. Doctors love me because they got something rather than nothing. They go on the list. So your list just grows over time.
Yeah. Yep. And the value of your list comes down to you and the value that you provide for the list, right? And the way you're communicating. But I think that another element to this that we didn't understand, that a lot of people screw up, is the fact that when you send an email or a text message, you have 100% opportunity for that person to see it. Now, whether they open it or not, whether it gets put to spam, I get it, it's not 100%, but your opportunity is 100%. Now, let's contrast that to going on to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, and you post something there. You have about a 2% opportunity that your list is going to see it, right? I.e. your followers, your friends, right? Just because you post it doesn't mean people see it. Whereas you now control the broadcast, right? You're in control. Whereas when you are, it's a difference of control and ownership, right? When you own the list, you can do whatever you want with it. You can send them 36 emails. They're going to get all 36 emails. You could send them one email. They get one email. When you only control the list, which is controlling is like that's the social media. You control these people that follow you, right? You can go DM them. You can make a post, things like that. But you don't own it, which means Facebook or Meta, they are the ones that are determining whether or not that goes out or not, right? We all know this. Like if you go to do cold DMs on Instagram, there's a limit at which if you keep doing that, they will literally shut you down. They're like, you're done. Like we're shutting your DM capabilities down because we now consider you an advertiser or a spammer, right? When you're going out that way. And these people, you understand, they also didn't raise their hand and say, hey, yes, I want you to communicate with me. Whereas when you own the list, this is where the power is. And I think it's a hard concept sometimes to get on top of because you don't always see that immediate payout. And I think that's the hard part, right? Because you're like, well, I want the money now. I need to get paid today. Not realizing that list is actually going to create the paychecks in like 10x in the future, right?
In 3 or 4 years. Yeah, it's a long play, but it's a cheap play. And that's why I tell everybody to. And also, social media, you've got followers, you've got your Facebook page, you've got your Instagram, you've got your YouTube. But all of those providers have the ability to just lock or delete your account.
Yep.
And I mean, I know I've seen some people lose their account. I'm sure you've seen some people, Trevor, who've had big followings just lose everything.
Yep.
And
there's one person in particular. They built a good following. Like over 100,000 followers. I can't remember the exact number now. And this was their livelihood. This was their lifeblood because they had this big following and their account got completely just shut down. And as soon as it was shut down, it was pure chaos, panic mode because they literally lost the ability to make money. Right. And what's sad about that is they could have, and this is what I would push you guys to do, that any interaction you have with someone on social media, you need to send them to a simple landing page that captures their data. Maybe not your full website if that's not set up or optimized for that, but just some way to capture, hey, it's done in some simple ways. You can do simple hooks that would get somebody to want to do, to give you the information. It could be a free report. It could be something that about, if you're in personal injury, something about, the 3 things to avoid if you've been in an accident so the insurance company doesn't screw you over. Something like that. I mean, it could be maybe you're a divorce attorney and it's like, here's the 3 things that you need to know if you're getting divorced so that you don't get bent over, right? Whatever it is, like you come up with your thing, but these are the things that you would say, hey, if you want this, hey, come over here real quick and I'll give it to you. And then they go to this landing page, put their email address in, and you send them this free report. Boom, you've captured that person. And I think if you can change the mindset knowing that every day what I want to be doing is taking people out of the world, whether it's social media, whether I met them in an elevator, whatever it is, and I want to have the ability to broadcast messages to them whenever I want, so I've got to capture it. So thinking of it's like as a business owner, it's a net. Everywhere you go, every networking event, everything you go, you should have one thought in your head, which is, how do I capture the ability to communicate with them and communicate with them on a regular basis? And I've got to get them to raise their hand, as opposed to going to these networking events or going and talking to somebody and not having that opportunity, right? Meeting someone on social media and having conversations down in the chat or even in the DM when they're DM back and forth, but you don't capture their information, the ability to communicate. They're kind of like a lead that came in and now they're gone. Now they're gone, and you've lost that opportunity for that particular person.
Yeah, and I encourage every law firm owner to have, like I say, the two lists, right? One is all your clients, and then you have your professional contacts list over there, right?
Yeah.
And and we'll talk about how often you should contacting people and sending stuff out. But I had one, and I did this from day one, right? I contacted my professional prospects I actually did it every week. I sent a letter out every week to any doctor I'd worked with, any lawyer who I'd worked with, especially if they were in a different practice area, but even PI lawyers. They weren't maybe I guess they were competitors, and I'd send them the same contact information, pretty much being like, hey, I'm here. If you got junk you don't want, send it to me, and I'll co-counsel with you, kind of deal, and I'll do all that work and just send you a check. I mean, but really, people in other niche areas, right? Criminal defense attorneys, bankruptcy attorneys, but chiropractors, that was my big. And I had one guy, he owned 5 different locations. So in my system, it wasn't complex at the time. I didn't have an ability to screen out multiple locations, right? If they were in there, I would have to delete them, which I didn't want to do. So I sent 5 letters to this dude every week, and every single week. And he calls me up one time, and he goes, Shane, dude, you definitely are consistent. And I got 5 locations. You send something to every location. I'm like, I know, man. You're a big dog here. And he goes, and you send it every damn week. I said, yep, I know. He goes, I open up my damn P.O. box, and it's all your letters, man. And and he goes, part of me wants to tell you to quit sending me all this junk, and you're doing it too often. But I am on the phone with you right now, and I'm about to send you some business. So I guess, you know what? You should probably just keep doing what you're doing. Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's the greatest. It's so true. It is so true. Yeah, I love it. And dude, you know what's crazy is that probably had you had a more sophisticated CRM at the time that could have segmented out the list and all of that, you may not have gotten that result because it wouldn't have been quite as
ridiculous. Yeah.
Here we go. Like, oh, he's in your face everywhere he turns.
And he's like, this dude clearly wants to work. Let me send him some business, right? Now, was our, did he have the upper hand in that relationship? Clearly, definitely,
For sure.
100%. But did I make money? Did I get to, and all those clients I talked to, I got to add to my own list, right? Later on. And now we have, with everything now, the lists have gotten, more sophisticated with emails and text messages and things like that. And people have the ability to opt out. But back then it was all mail.
Yeah.
So you couldn't even opt out of the things, for crying out loud. You'd have to call the office and be like, hey, don't send me any more stuff. And that was the only way you came off my list. That, or if in your personal injury case, things went horribly wrong, and I just was like, I don't want any more work from you, right? I just don't want. And you've got a couple of those clients, right, who we would pull off because I'm like, I don't want anything from you. But that's not. But what you would not want to do is pull the people off where you just got an okay result, where you're like, that was a little difficult, or they really didn't settle, or I don't think I did a great job there. You would leave all them on because you would be shocked at the number who would call you back, and they'd be like, hey, I hope this one goes better than the last one. I'm like, I hope so too.
Right.
But like in all of our dripping on people, I had one dude who called me, and and this is like, I'd had my practice open for years, and I look him up and I'm like, hey, how'd you hear about me? He goes, oh, you send me something every week. I'm like, well, shoot, I should have scanned that, checked that before I told you that. But I'm like, okay, or every month. And I said, oh, dude, yeah, we first talked like 5 years ago. Why didn't you hire me then? And he goes, dude, you sent me some stuff, and I realized I just jacked everything up really bad, and you weren't really going to be able to help me. It was just going to be, I didn't want to waste your time. But now on this accident here, I want to do everything right from day one.
Right.
And he goes, I got hit head on. I got hurt. I read all your stuff. I'm boom. And I'm like, great case.
Right.
I don't know how much I made on that case, but I'm sure it was a policy limits case, which in Georgia, it was only $25,000 at the time, but I made $8,000. I paid for a lot of letters that could go to this guy for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then you look at the spiral effect. So like, because you captured that, because you broadcast to him, he became a client, you helped him, which means now when you look even bigger picture, right? Who's he going to talk to about you? somebody that knows somebody, right? Because everybody wants to know a guy. So then you start to realize how these lists play into the referral game too, because they're part of, it's just capturing you just what you want that information to come. And so it's hard sometimes because you can't quantify that. You can't quantify, well, here's the direct link tied to all of this, but overall it creates that environment for you.
And one caution, one story people have is, especially in the legal areas, man, if I did a great job for this guy, he's going to remember my name. And if he gets into another wreck, he'll call me. Or if he gets in trouble with the login, he's going to call me. And maybe that works if you're giving out your direct cell phone to everybody, right? So you're in their phone and they can just hit the button and go. But 9 times out of 10, it doesn't work. And the reason we know it doesn't work is because all of us have had a plumber that does a great job, or a handyman that does a great job. And then crap, your plumbing breaks again and you can't find the number. And you don't know, you don't remember the guy's name. It's been 5 years. You remember he did a great job. His price was fair. But you got no communication. You don't know how to get in touch with the guy, so you got to go to call somebody else. Same things happens with lawyers over and over and over. Whereas if you would just communicate with them on a regular basis, and we're going to talk about newsletters and stuff in another episode, and some techniques there, but make it easy for them to find you. I mean, best thing I had is I had a plumber guy who fixed my hot water heater, stuck his magnet on my hot water heater. Have a plumbing issue? Boom, I'm calling Joe. Right? And we want to have that communication from the law firm over and over so that when they have that issue, they can call us. And they may call with issues that aren't your cases, but you just refer those out. The other lawyer is going to be lazy. He's not going to continue to communicate. So next time they'll still call you.
You constantly, it's just that, and there's a lot. And the intent of today's show is not to necessarily jump too deep into the weeds of how to do this, because there are so many. We could spend an hour on probably each segment on how do you capture it and what's the best ways to capture. I think just the overarching understanding is, hey, you need a list. It's probably your most valuable, outside of people, it's the most valuable thing that you could build inside of your firm that is going to give you legs and strength to grow and scale and to build, right? Without it, you're like building a mansion on popsicle sticks, right?
And it's free. I mean, it's basically free. Compared to any other type of advertising we're going to talk about, it's free. There's no excuse not to do it, I guess is what I'm saying, Trevor. Because it costs no money, right? You could do it with Excel. You could take name, email address, phone number, address. Boom, and you're done.
Write it down on a freaking piece of paper.
You can do that too.
It literally isn't a free option. Now, you can obviously pay for everything. Everything will be paid for if you want it better.
And the notebook is not the best option, right, or the Excel sheet, but it's certainly a whole lot better than none. And the Excel was actually my first professional prospect list, right? Boom, I took every business card I ever had, put it in there, boom, send them out. Now, and that's how I got started with the list. And I'm so fortunate, like I say, I did because I had a list. When I jump started my practice, I contacted everybody, and suddenly I could eat. Right? I looked up and I had, I think, 20 cases inside of the first month, right? Which, was, looking back, I'm like, dude, I was so freaking, I want to say lucky, but it wasn't lucky. I had professional relationships I leveraged, and because of contact, people sent it. And some of the people who sent me business, we weren't even friends. Right? It's not like I knew everybody. I had just dealt with them. And one guy, he calls me up. He goes, hey, you're a new baby lawyer? Yeah. He goes, you're going to work hard? Yeah, dude. He goes, well, this is, I got some clients you can help, but, you got to charge a little bit less money than some of these people so you can give it to my clients. I'm like, okay, I guess so. A case is better than no case, right? So A case at 28% is better than, no case. So, all right, I can help your clients, and it just builds. I mean, and that's the key. The list builds over time. It gets bigger and bigger, and it becomes more and more valuable.
So I guess the question you have to ask yourself, if you truly want to grow, and you're not just here you didn't just build yourself a job, that you just want to be have a job every day, but you actually want to grow your firm. If the answer is yes, I want to grow, then a list is non-negotiable.
Right.
It is, and you have to operate. And this, I know, depending, some of you guys might hear this being like in today's show, and you're like, yeah, this is so basic. Why are we spending any amount of time? Why we been on here for 25 minutes talking about a list? Because I promise you, there's others on here. I work with attorneys every single day who do not operate with a list. They're like, I'm running firms doing $1 million, $1.5 million that do not have a list. They're not broadcasting out. And I'm just looking and I'm like, wow, this is going to be great because you're going to have huge growth really quick.
Yeah.
Because they have a list, they just don't do anything with it because they've had clients and they have people coming in, and you put a few little notches in place, and now all of a sudden it's like manna from heaven. It's like you, Shane, when you're stepping in, you're like, man, it was lucky. Well, no, it wasn't really lucky. It was. We had an ability to broadcast and let people know, hey, here I am, and they knew who I was. And familiarity creates connection anyways, even if they're not your friend, even if they've never worked with you before. Like going to an attorney is much better, that you've heard of, that you've seen some common communication from, is much better than going to a billboard that you don't know anything about them.
Yeah, and they see their stuff, and as we talk about communication stuff, they, like you say, they become more familiar with you. They know you. And even the doctors that didn't know me, they got a letter from me like 6 months in, and they're like, dude, you keep sending me this junk. Let's go to lunch. Right. And then the lunch leads into a relationship. So what I would tell everybody today is, one, start your list right now. If you don't have one, start it today. Everybody who touches your office, do that. I would say put your professionals on one list, put your clients on the clients, leads, normal people on another list. Yep. If you can. If you can't, just put them all together. And then work on going backwards, right? But don't not do today because you're like, oh, I want to go back. I want to start over from scratch. Every client and get them in my list. Just start today.
Yep. Whoever calls in, whoever comes in. What about this, Shane? What about this nuance? What if they're not? What if they don't seem like they're a real viable client or a lead? Do I just throw that one away?
I put everybody on my dang list, right? I even put the crazy folks on my list, right? I mean, the people who. You call in, you're like, this does, they're telling you some crazy story, which we get in personal injury sometimes, right?
For sure.
And you're like, I don't think that happened, but maybe it did. I'll put them on the list, right? Now, I might take you off the list later on if you become really wild, but everyone goes on the list because we deal with people all the time. And we deal with people who don't have cases. We deal with people who probably may never have a case, but I also assume they're going to know somebody else, right? And that's where we'll talk about segmenting your list later on, is who's a better who's an A on your list versus a B or whatever. But everybody can refer somebody to you. Everybody can get to know you. Everybody can be like, hey, this is the guy I call for every issue, right? Every legal issue. And I mean, every issue is important, right? You can refer those cases out, make money on them, help somebody, right? You're helping somebody. You're referring those out to a qualified professional, somebody who's going to do a good job, and you help your list person, which builds your status as well. Yeah. So start today. That's my message.
Yeah, that's critical. Start today, and don't try to think who should be on the table and who should go in the dumpster.
Just add them on the list.
Add them on the list. Everybody. Put everyone on the list, and it's rare that somebody's that obnoxious of a person on your list that they create a problem.
Right, exactly.
Like they might reply. Who knows? Like there's not really much of a problem they can create, but who knows, right?
Yeah, you can take them off later on, right?
Exactly. So right now, start list today. If you don't have it, I don't care how you do it. If you don't understand CRMs, don't worry about it. Just get an Excel sheet. Put who you've got, who inside of that list right now. Even if you're not even sure what to do with the list yet, start generating the list. Right? There's plenty of other trainings you can get from us or other places that will show you, okay, here's some ideas. I mean, it's not tough, guys. Go to YouTube and search it up. And there's plenty of people that give you advice on what to do with the list, on how to utilize this list, right? We offer a couple free trainings inside of the Legal Edge where we can help attorneys just like you in different platforms, different modalities. Doesn't matter your area of law. Inside. So if you want some of the free training that we have, you head over to legaledgecoaching.com where you can get access to the free training. And then as always, if you got value from today's show or somebody who would get value from it, we appreciate a couple things. One, would give us a like or a subscribe. And then also just share this show with someone else who might get value from this journey that we're going on. Again, this is episode 5 in the series of starting and growing and building your own law firm. So if you want to tune in some of those earlier episodes that we dive into a couple different other subjects as we build upon ultimately a step-by-step guide over this series where you could follow it and have all the key frameworks for how to own, operate, and run your own firm and be able to really accelerate your growth to where you're at. Also, there's an opportunity right now, Shane and I, where we're taking a very, like, one or two select law firms or attorneys where you're looking to grow and scale, where we want to work with you, mentor you one-on-one, where we actually will sit down and dive deep into your world. To find out more about that, head over again to legaledgecoaching.com, where you can get access to the deep dive conversation there. And tune in next week as we continue down this rabbit hole of building, own, and operating your own law firm. So other than that, Shane, you got anything, any final thoughts?
No, I don't. I mean, like I say, no final thoughts. Just start today, guys. It's simple, it's easy, and it's makes a huge difference later on. And they're not going to remember your name. Not in today's world. There's too much things getting attention. So get the list and communicate, and we'll talk about communication styles later. But start today.
All right, beautiful. Get your list, everybody. Appreciate you guys listening to today's show. Have a fantastic rest of your day.